live. 5, 4, 3, come on, 2, 1.
Good evening, and you're listening to the new WCEG Network on WCEGTalkRadio.com, or watch us live on your smart TV, YouTube, WCEG Network. I'm Celeste Giordano, along with Sara, your show host and co-host of Global Legacy and Wealth Building for the next 2 hours, and we have a great show tonight. We're the Worldwide Community Empowerment Group, where we speak life into the community. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and on Instagram at WCEG_talk_radio and at WCEG Network. Last but not least, our disclaimer: the topics and opinions are those of the show host and guest, not WCEG Network. And thank you for your continued support. Good evening. We're glad to have everyone here today. This is going to be an exciting show today. We're going to be talking about growing your business in this new economy with successful networking groups. And the second half of the show, we're going to be growing your business in this new economy through financial wealth. But before we get started, and before I introduce our guest, I would like to ask Araya McGarry if she would say a few words about the things that have been happening in the last week or so. And I know what your heart is made of. You're a very heart-centered person, just like myself and everyone on the show, Araya. Would you say a few words for us in light of what has happened in the last week or 10 days?
Celeste, I'd be happy to. It has really been so burdensome for all of us. All of us as a human race have just can agree, I think, on something, which is this whole situation has been heartbreaking, but very eye-opening. And I know, I call myself, I'm a Yankee. I'm from New York City. I wasn't brought up with racism. And so I thought that it really wasn't there anymore. And how naive of me, as I talk to so many of my dear friends who are part of the Black community, and I open up the conversation, which is what I want to encourage everybody to do. Open up the conversation. It's okay. The waters are primed to say, how can we help? And when I talked to some of my girlfriends, they told me something that just broke my heart. Not so much that I know what's happening, but that I didn't even know this was happening. And then I'll kind of end my heartfelt sentence with this, is that when these moms told me that they have to have a very special conversation with their sons and daughters when they go to learn how to drive and they start growing up and growing out of their home and into the community. I know as a mom how fearful I am that my teenage girls even need to drive. That's fear in itself, but they have a completely extra conversation that I feel so bad I didn't even know that this still existed. I was so naive that I thought all this racism had passed and it wasn't there. And it is still prevalent. And because of that, I'm glad that I've seen so much outpouring, and we need to keep it alive. And you know me, I'm in the media. So if I can give note to anyone, is keep it alive, keep the conversation going. And for me and my community, I just want to say we are here, we are listening, and we want to take action with you, but we need you to guide us and tell us what you best need us to do at any given moment. Prayers, of course, help, but without action, prayers can't do as much as they can. So let's be active now and not let this go on snooze. No more pause button, no more snooze button. We're all in this together. And I know that I mean it, and all my other girlfriends mean this as well, and guy friends too. You're all in this. But I just want to say, it's been eye-opening and my heart breaks, but with heartbreak comes solutions and a changed world.
Absolutely, Araya. And this last week I reached out to the owner of WCEG, Penny Rogers, and we had a conversation. I want to say this conversation was about 90 minutes long, and really didn't know how to start, but my heart wanted to say something. I wanted to talk to her, and since then I've been able to have several conversations. But the one thing that we left that conversation is that we live in the Word, not the world. And so therefore that we do have to seek change, and we do need to help and support, and we do need to take action, but we need to take the action in the Word, not the world. So thank you for those kind words of wisdom and sentiments right there. Okay, we're ready to get started. We have everybody here. How are you tonight, Sarah?
Great, doing good.
Good. Well, I am glad to have you as my co-host as always. And we have some action-packed young ladies. And our second half of the show, we have Jody with us, Jody Humphrey, who is a gentleman at stake. And the first half, we're going to talk about growing your business in the new economy with successful networking groups. And our first distinguished guest that I'm very honored and privileged to have on the show is Araya McGarry. And Araya is an Emmy Award-winning TV show host, and she's vice president of the Women of What Women Want Network. And so, Araya, we are so happy to have you here. And what we want to talk about today is for business entrepreneurs, direct sales teams, corporations, nonprofits, the importance of networking and guiding them in the right direction of the proper networking groups that have integrity and character, because I know that's important to everybody on the call here today. So I would love for you to share a little bit with us about your feedback and your comments about networking.
Well, without networking, I mean, I don't think anything gets done in the entrepreneur and the solopreneur world, because we don't get to go in to a brick and mortar and have everybody we need right there working with us every day. We have to go out, we have to make our own friends, meet our new clients. And I've been I used to do direct sales back when I think early 30s or late 20s, I started that. And that's when I discovered networking. Because if you don't meet new clients every day, potential clients, or people that could possibly want what you have to offer, we always call it your bathtub's going to get drained out, because you can fill it up. But if you don't keep adding fresh bath water to the bathtub, it's going out the drain. So there's never a time when you get to just arrive. I have plenty of customers. I have plenty of friends or colleagues or collaborators. Life keeps changing, and without growth, you're standing still. So networking has always been a big part of my life. And one of the first ones I started, 18 years ago, was eWomen, which we all are familiar with, eWomen Network out of Dallas. And from there, I got to know a lot of other ones. There's ABWA and NABO, and there's the Women's Chamber of Commerce. So many great ones. And now I'm vice president of What Women Want Networking, which is 10 years old. And one thing I think, don't go in thinking you have to find the perfect place, okay? Meeting new people is always a good thing, and you never know what's going to happen. And Celeste, you were talking about the word earlier. God gave us a real great scripture that put your hand to do, and I will bless it. So that word do is go out and meet people. And you don't know until you get there whether it's the right one for you. Yeah, you can do all the homework you want all day long on Google, but do you go and feel that connection or not feel the connection by the person up at the front of the room and the girlfriends and the guys there? You're never going to know. So don't wait till you have all the answers and it's all perfect and this is the right one and this one. Don't do that. Go test the waters and do it in person as soon as we get out of lockdown. Meanwhile, do it on Zoom. It's fine.
Absolutely. And I should have asked you in the beginning, but why don't you tell us a little bit about What Women Want, and tell us, it's been around for 10 years and how you became associated with it. And now just recently, and congratulations on the promotion to the vice president of What Women Want.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, I actually met the president, which is now Catherine Marshall. Our founder is Judy Goss. And Judy Goss was a former model, the editor of More Magazine. And she was a big believer in finding women's stories. And in More Magazine, they could only feature so many stories. And there were so many women that will never get a chance to tell their story. So she wanted to start a company where every woman had the opportunity to lead with their story. Tell their potential customers about them, who they are, what their story is, because it's so important. And that was 10 years ago. And I've probably been affiliated with them, now maybe 3 or 4 years, but met them at an eWomen luncheon. See how you meet good people at good places. So
Absolutely.
These all were, positive women's events. Now we do have great men at them too. So I know you're going to have a very special one later on in your podcast of the year. But they really do well with women, those guys that show up. And I'm so excited now that Catherine Marshall now with Simple Fat Burn is the president, because she has something very much in common with Judy Goss and her original vision. And Judy Goss is still a part of it. She's working for QVC now, but it's all about their motto, which is connect, encourage, and inspire. So that's what we do. We connect, encourage, and inspire. Without networking, where are you going to find women that are going to connect, encourage, and inspire you? You really got to get out there. We only have so many friends and family members. It's all about meeting new people. But they're very supportive. One thing that I connected with what women want so profoundly was the follow-up. You go to networking events and it's like, oh, call me. Here's my card. Here's my card. And then nobody ever calls you, and guilty. We don't call anybody either. It's like, oh, that was fun. You go off to the next one. Before you know it, it's been months and you've been butterflying around meeting all these people, and you have a stack of business cards and you don't know any of them. So what women want, Catherine, when I first met her, was very intentional about calling, and I got a phone call. And then I got more phone calls. Really ask me, what do you want, Araya? What do you need? How can I help you? Who do you need to know? I'm like, wow, this person isn't just calling me once. Then she called again, and here she is again. I'm like, oh, they really care. And people love doing business once they know they care about you. So that's a little part of it that makes it the extra, the cream on top and the cherry on top, when you actually do the follow-up. I know your other guests on the call, you can talk to you later. We all know being in entrepreneurship and in sales, or we're always selling, either a product or a service or what we do. And without follow-up, you might as well not even go out the door. You've got to schedule coffees. And some of my best connections happened when I didn't even know why I needed to know this woman. I just liked her. One of them was Amy Matthews at Women. I said, I've known you for a couple of years now. I really don't know much about what you do. You always say you do marketing. Great. We had coffee one day. Who knew she was my next best person to hire? You just don't know that. So I encourage people to have coffee, have virtual coffee, whatever it takes. So getting to know people, because you don't know who you don't know. You don't know who you need until you start making connections.
Well, that's great advice, Araya, because I don't know how many years you and I have been friends, but we first met at an eWomen in Atlanta when Deborah Daniel was the managing director. And then we went on, you have your Live Your Legacy Summit every year. And I attended that. I was a sponsor there. I was even one of your mastermind breakout session speakers.
Yeah, you were.
And again, this is where the connections come in, and it's so important with the follow-up. Sarah, you got some questions for Araya?
Yeah, Araya, what is some of your vision for your members going forward after the quarantine, after we can hug again?
Oh, you're speaking my language, after we can hug again. Oh, wait, let me just think on that for a minute. Oh, the vision is to help them get what they want, to get back into those spaces where we are together, we can hug again and really have those eyeball to eyeball connections. We're still doing them now. We're doing great on Zoom. We have people from all over the country on our networking calls every month, several times a month. But we're really excited to get them back in the media, because another thing that sets us apart is, Judy Goss has been in the media, most of her career, now on QVC. Catherine does media, I do media. And we like to say to our members and our guests, what platform do you need the light shine from? Like, do you like radio? Do you like podcasts? Do you like TV? We have access to all those people and several publicists to our members. And guess what? I'm not the only Emmy winner that's a member. We have an Emmy-winning makeup artist in New York City. So we really want to help them get the press they need, the publicists they need, whatever they need, as far as getting more light shined on them and the problem and the pain they solve.
Absolutely. So who are the women that make up What Women Want community businesses?
Women like you and everybody you see on this call right now in this show, women in business, all ages. Seems to be that the women that want to really network, though, we're 35 and 40 and over. We're just a little more established, although we can be starting new projects now. A lot of women are going to be pivoting, whether trying something new not by choice, because necessity, or they need to make some kind of special pivot. So it's great too. We get some of the younger gals in there and guys that know technology, that know social media, that know those type of platforms that can help us. I don't even want to say older, wiser members and wiser in other areas. But we all come together to take our expertise and say, I do this well, let me help you. And you say, oh, good, I do this well, something I don't do well. And we all blend our forces, should I say. And that what makes us up is just women in business, whether it's a solopreneurship, an entrepreneurship, or they're actually have a brick and mortar. They might be a massage therapist, a cosmetologist. They might be in a CPA, or chiropractor. So we have the whole gamut. It's just women and a few great men that want more meaningful connections, and they just don't want to be another flyer somewhere. They don't want to be another Facebook ad. They want to make that eyeball to eyeball connection.
Absolutely. And I know that we have several chapters in the Atlanta area, being that WCEG is based out of Atlanta, Georgia here. So how many chapters do we have? And tell us, if somebody is interested in attending, how do we get in touch with you, or how do we find your events, your schedules?
Oh, great. Well, the easy part is there, go back to the internet, whatwomenwantnetworking.com. You can find out all about the events, go to the event tabs and see. We have them in New York, we have them in Connecticut, we have them here in Atlanta. Right now, there's a waiting list for anybody that may possibly be interested in opening up new ones, because they're being very selective about where we open strategically up some new ones. So we're utilizing those 3 areas right now to bring everybody together. Since it's virtual, there's no reason to have a whole bunch of little ones going on virtually, because we're all hopping onto them. So you'll meet people from New York City, Connecticut, Atlanta, the Carolinas, Florida, and some from the Midwest as well that get on these calls. And just whatwomenwantnetworking.com will give you all the info you need. And I'm on social media if you need to connect with me under Araya McGarry, if you have any questions.
All righty. Why don't you give your personal information of how we can get a hold of you, your website, or whatever you would like to say?
The best way is to email me at info@arayamcgarry.com, or go to Araya McGarry Productions on Instagram or Facebook, since I'm all filled up on that Facebook. I hate that Facebook limits you on how many friends you can have. How rude. I want a lot of friends. Says, nope, sorry, no more friends. So Araya McGarry Productions on Facebook and Instagram. You can private message me there.
Very good. Well, we appreciate that, Araya, and we're going to have a group discussion in a minute.
Okay.
But I would like to go on to Amy Ostigny from Cincinnati, Ohio, who is the managing director of eWomen Network in Cincinnati. So welcome, Amy. We're glad to have you here.
Thank you so much, Celeste. It's so great to see everybody that are members of our eWomen Network on today's event.
Yes, absolutely. And Amy, tell us how can somebody reach out to eWomen Network Cincinnati, or in general? How do we get a hold of you?
So how you can reach out is go to our website first, ewomennetwork.com/events. If you want to see a list of all the events in 118 chapters, including Australia. I run Cincinnati. You can get a hold of me. The best is my cell, 513-403-0301. This is the best way to reach me, is cell or on Facebook. Amy Doggett, D-O-G-G-E-T-T, Ostigny, O-S-T-I-G-N-Y.
Absolutely. And I hope I am correct in saying this. I think you are the fastest growing chapter in the eWomen Network. Is that true?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So we have the highest growth.
Congratulations. Yes.
There's no excuse during COVID-19. We're just going gangbusters. Of 118 chapters, last 2 months, we've been leading the way. I've been doing this now for 12 years. I love it.
Absolutely. And, and I met Amy, one of our mutual friends on this call. Everybody knows Deborah Daniel. And Deborah Daniel was the managing director a few years back with eWomen Network. And she was a guest speaker in Cincinnati. And we live part-time in Cincinnati and here in Atlanta. And so Deborah Daniel was going to be a guest speaker. And I said, what does a good person do? I want to go support Deborah Daniel. So I bought a ticket to do that. And Deborah introduced me to Amy. And next thing you know, it's just been a match made in heaven. I love my eWomen Cincinnati, just Araya, like you love eWomen Atlanta here.
Yeah.
I love eWomen Cincinnati, all the women and some men, the colleagues that we have made and friendships. As I told Amy, I said, there is a gold mine in Cincinnati with building relationships and collaborations and camaraderie. So Amy, tell us a little bit, why did you join eWomen Network?
Well, I've owned an award-winning marketing sales consulting company for 20 years now. And I joined because I wanted to grow my business in other markets. And eWomen Network has allowed me now to have clients in 24 city chapters. It's allowed me to become an international speaker. I've spoken all the way in Canada, some of our chapters up there and all over. And it's also allowed me to be an international best-selling author as well. doing a collaborative book with some fellow eWomen Network members. So it's amazing how it's allowed me to scale my business and really think not just small in Cincinnati, that I could just work anywhere.
Absolutely. Sarah, do you have some questions for Amy?
Yeah, Amy. So what 3 areas does your network help a small business owner?
Well, hey, Sarah, thank you for asking that question. So my main primary purpose with eWomen Network is to help our members get clients. And how we do that is I'm a master connector, both locally and globally. So for example, one great example is a woman in Connecticut recently reached out to me and she needed somebody to do social media. So I connected Annie Garland in our Connecticut chapter to Shannon in my Cincinnati chapter. She's now hired Shannon as a client, and now Shannon's going to be in front of her mastermind group. And then another woman in our California chapter is a coach, Felicia Searcy. And one of my Cincinnati members was looking for a coach. So again, I connected them across thousands of miles. And another example is Deborah Daniel in Atlanta that you guys keep mentioning. Deborah Daniels has been amazing in our chapter. And we made some great connections for Deborah Daniels with new clients as well. Yeah. So clients is our number one. The second thing is we market and promote our members. How we do that is because of my PR and marketing expertise. I've been able to get our members on TV to promote their business. I've been able to get them in magazines that went out to 300,000 homes.
Wow.
And able to get them in the newspaper through my media connections. So a lot of the women entrepreneurs really need help with spreading the word about their business. Could you imagine if your business got into 300,000 homes for free through magazines?
Wonderful. Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? And then the third thing we do is we share leads, contacts, and resources because I'm really respectful of people's time and money. So what we love to do is we love to help our members share leads, contacts, and resources. And I'm a wealth of resources. Just alone today, a woman entrepreneur, 36 years in business, had no idea how to create a promotional video for her 36-year business. She's a caterer. Her name is Gail. I created for her just today a 1-minute promo video of her business through Animoto. It's a free resource called Animoto. She had never heard of Animoto. So all day long in eWomen Network, I share these free tools that these women entrepreneurs have no idea about. And all it is $357 to join eWomen Network, and she's now got a promo video to promote her business. I mean, the value, one-time fee, $357 to join eWomen Network, the wealth of resources, the connections, the clients, the marketing promotion we do. It's a no-brainer to be a member.
So what events do y'all have coming up?
So we have our largest event, the 11th Annual Success Summit is happening tomorrow. We have 100 entrepreneurs from 20 states, 2 countries, with our founder, Sandra Yancey, our CEO. We've been around 20 years. She's going to be talking tomorrow about scaling your business. And what's really cool about the silver lining to the COVID-19 is that this event normally is a live event, but we're doing it all online. And so we've been able to get 20 states, 2 countries together tomorrow for our 11th Annual Success Summit on scaling your business with Sandra Yancey and Brianna Day, our eWomen Network guru for digital marketing, is talking about how to be an influencer on your Instagram business pages. And it's just going to be amazing. What we're going to do is go into 2 breakout rooms in Zoom, and we're all going to share our business, what we offer and what we need to grow our business. So be there tomorrow. You can just go to ewomennetwork.com/events. Look for June 10th, and you'll see our Success Summit. There's still room to sign up tonight.
Oh, that'd be great. That sounds wonderful. Yeah. That's a great event to have.
Well, it's a great opportunity for you guys to get more eyeballs on your business and connect.
Absolutely, Amy. And, you know, one of the things that I love about Amy is she's definitely a master connector. And, you know, through her, I've met Carol Dockham, and we had Shannon Donasay on our show last month as a social media expert. And she's worked with many of my clients. She's a wealth of knowledge. And the other thing is Amy is you're so heart-centered, and you truly want to help support and your community, your members. And one thing that, like this event tomorrow, I know you've reached out to me and Carol, and I hope it's okay. And, we're sponsors in that event. And what greater thing that we're going to have, how many cities and countries that are going to be involved in this thing, and we're actual sponsors in this event. And it's just a great opportunity to get connected globally.
It's really great. And it's just amazing how much support and connections you're going to see at tomorrow's event. Yeah.
Absolutely. One last thing is, and you may have already said this, I think, was how is your networking event different from others?
How our networking group is different from others is we value your time. It's not like going to an event where you have to be there every week. You're not required to give referrals. Our main focus and how we're different is we actually take interactions to transactions. We actually get our members clients. We actually get our members promote, like PR, get them exposure. And we also help them with leads, contacts, and resources. And we always give first share always. It's always from a servant heart. And we always lift as we climb. Because, having a business is not for the faint of heart. So it's really important that we're there for support. And we are an all-inclusive network. So we have a wide diversity in our network. We're very much an all-inclusive network. We have very 9 core values. And our 8th values is we are committed at eWomen Network to be an all-inclusive network. And we have a very diverse group of members in our network, including males. So we have about 10% are emails, we call them.
Emails.
And I love the picture behind you, Amy.
I do too. I love it.
$1 million post. Can you see it?
And I'm gonna bring Araya in on this as well, Amy. One thing I know about What Women Want, and I know about eWomen, there's different levels of membership. And I remember when I became a member of eWomen Cincinnati, and I'm gonna tell you, Amy, she got me right away, and she brought me in as a speaker part. And and she delivered immediately. I was the speaker the very next month. And there are different levels. And I know What Women Want has different levels as well, Araya. And since all of you in here or most of you are speakers and authors, please explain to the group, I'd love to get both of your opinions, why it's important to up level when you go into a membership or a networking group as opposed to the general.
Well, who wouldn't want to go as a VIP? I mean, you never want to go as a general public, got to be VIP, but it's not right for everybody. So like, I know I am a platinum of eWomen, but it was many years. I've been a member for almost probably 18 years. And I just up leveled, not too long ago, probably last year, because it kept coming up and I realized the timing was right. So to up level, timing is right. It's not always right when you first get into whatever you're doing, but I always say take the first step and get in, but find out all your options, because as you up level, depending on where you are in your business, the next level might be better for you. It might be a better fit because you need more resources and connections. You need a bigger platform because you're ready for it. It could be a mistake to do too much if you're new or you're not ready for the bigger platform. Then you have to kind of backtrack and say, oh, wait, I'm not ready for all of that. My business isn't scaled for that yet. So just know where you are, what's available, and get with your chapter directors or wherever you're going to say, here's where I am. Where do you think I'd best fit? And they'll be honest with you. Like I said, eWomen and What Women Want, well, it's just so honest. Nobody wants anybody to come in and just be at the top because it's the most money. We don't do that. eWomen doesn't do that. We look for the best fit for you where you are right now. And then as that changes, you can always scale up.
Well, and that's so true, Ray, and I appreciate that. And I guess what I was referring to is especially people that are speakers and authors, because looking for a good platform with integrity, character, and who truly want to help and support you. What Women Want in eWomen Network are right up here at the very, very top. They're the premier networking groups that are going to help you grow your business, especially in this new economy, if you are at that level or it's a good fit at that level. Amy,
absolutely. Why would you need a speaker? Back in the old days, 2008, 2009, when we had speaker agents, now you don't need to do that. If you want to get out there and people know about you, you can be your own agent. The speaker board on eWomen, Amy will tell you, is just magnificent. And you just up level for a little bit and Everybody knows about you. Get top. I mean, I'm doing the pitch for E-Women. I mean, it's just great. We're not, the speaker board for What Women Want is still going through some changes. There's a waiting list for it right now. But for E-Women, you can do it right now and look and be right in everybody's eyesight. It's better than calling up some agency and saying, put me on your roster, which sits there, and they don't enthusiastically, do anything to promote you, but you're there, prestigious, on a website somewhere. But not with these women's groups. You get in there, you get on the speaker board, and you have access, people have access to you, and you can reach out to people, say, I'm on the speaker board, here's the topic, here's the pain I solve, and bam, you're booked for months and years to come, for sure, because it's what happens. You'll be booked.
Well, What Women Want also has a speaker board as well, correct?
We do, yes. And we do the waiting list right now. You need to apply because we're doing some growth over the summer now, and it's really exciting about that.
Very good. Amy, any closing comments that you would like to say about that? Oh, you're on mute.
I like to say about the platinum, I heard this the best from a woman that's a millionaire in the group. She said she likes to surround herself with people smarter than her. I think that's what it really means to level up. I wanted to be in platinum, so I'm not around people. Like, I want to be around those people that are smarter than me, that can be a resource, whether it's, I'm struggling with social media or whatever the topic might be, or how to scale your business. Like, how did you make it to $1 million? Like, they share in the platinum level. So we have what's called platinum strategic business introduction events just for our platinum members. You're surrounding yourself with people that have made it to $1 million that you can ask questions to. And I just think that value of up leveling to be around that kind of caliber is priceless. I know Carol Dockham, all of us here today are platinum members with, you and Carol that are on here today. And I've witnessed the change in a lot of the platinum members that have upgraded to platinum. They've just really scaled their business and they're showing up more in a bigger way. So it's impressive. And we have a platinum only summit where once a year we gather together, and oh my gosh, we learn so much and we leave so full. And but again, back to what I say is we're a business network first, but as a result of being a business network, we also become girlfriends. I mean, there's a lot to be said about that.
Yes.
Is I feel like I could call anybody and they'd pick up the phone and I'd ask a question, no problem, and they'd answer me. They're not going to blow me off. They're going to be there for me for any question I might have. And that's really the benefit, is having a business network that becomes your girlfriends as well. It's all about relationships. Business is a contact sport. And I'll tell you what, my contacts at Platinum and E-Women, I mean, you can't put a price to that. I mean, people say, if somebody tells me they went to a networking event and they didn't get a client, come on. You guys have to understand, networking is about building relationships first. You don't go in for the sale at your first networking event. No. So I'm going to eventually write a book about networking, because my thing is it's all about, you've got to build those relationships. And as a result, you'll have the business if you do it the right way to network properly. Yeah,
absolutely.
Amy's right. We work hard, but we play harder.
Sure.
Yes. Yes. Yay.
And that was the last big trip we went on, Amy. It was Platinum in California. Then everything got shut down.
All right.
Well, our ninth value at E-Women Network is we are committed to happiness, fun, self-care, and life balance.
Woo! All right. Well, thank you so much, Amy. We're going to get back with you in just a second. And, I've met Amy, like I said, through Deborah Daniel, E-Women. And now we have Carol Dockham with Beautiful Faces Going Places. And I met Carol at my very first E-Women network in Cincinnati. And immediately, just like with Amy and Araya, we just hit it off immediately. And Carol had a summit that she does once a year. And again, it's collaborations, camaraderie. And I go to the E-Women Network in October, I think is when I went. no, I went in September. And then in October, I spoke. I met Carol Dockham, and her summit was in November. And then I went and spoke at Carol Dockham's summit in November. So again, it is building the relationships and the connections and the camaraderie. But Carol Dockham is with Beautiful Faces Going Places. And Carol, tell us a little bit about you and Beautiful Faces Going Places and your goals and dreams with that.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you so much, Celeste and Sara, for hosting this fabulous event here on WCEG Network. It's an honor to be here. And I've got to say, I'm absolutely in love with all of the conversations and with what Aurora shared and Aria and Amy Ostigny shared. The passion of networking certainly shines through. I'm a former Chamber of Commerce Executive Director and President, so and my background is in networking. And I found myself about 4 years ago with this vision of creating an online Chamber of Commerce for women in business. And guess what? I get to call it what I want to call it, right? So I fell in love with Beautiful Faces Going Places, an online networking, women's networking group. Basically, my passion also is I'm a lifelong learner, as I believe you are, Celeste, as well. And I am passionate about learning, education, information. I used to teach advertising, marketing, and consumer behavior in Europe for a couple of years. So I'm passionate about that. And my goal is to bring that education to the table with online programming. We have speakers, trainers, coaches, and experts that are part of our success team, and they have the opportunity to teach for 20-30 minutes at a time, followed by Q&A and a round of networking. So the idea is to bring education to entrepreneurs, small business owners, solopreneurs, because you know what I figured out as a solopreneur, entrepreneur myself, I don't have all the answers, you know, and I like to think of it as a puzzle, like a success puzzle. And at various points of time, depending upon where you're at in your business, there's always a little piece missing. I don't know whether it's, you know, mindset or whether it's marketing, social media, finance, business planning, strategy. I mean, there's all of these pieces of the puzzle that need to come together, you know, to really reach and become successful and scale, as Amy had mentioned, scale your business. So my dream has been to bring this to nationally and globally, bring it out into the world through Beautiful Faces Going Places, a visibility platform.
So what is, Carol?
Yes.
What are some of your upcoming events that you've got going on?
You know what? I think this would be a perfect opportunity to just share my screen, if that's okay with you.
Please.
Let's see, here it is. Okay. So I don't know if you can see this clearly, but I'm going to start here. So Beautiful Faces Going Places. Our philosophy really is about ditching the pitch. We're here to connect, collaborate, cultivate conversations consistently. And if you do that, you know, day in, day out, weekly, monthly, you will grow your business over time. We also, I think one of the other things we like to focus on is, you know, your smile is your logo, your personality is your business card. How you leave others feeling after having an experience with you becomes your trademark. So it really is about, you know, having those conversations, building those relationships, and it's about the other person and not necessarily you. You know, how can you serve others? How can you solve their problems and, you know, help them? So that's the philosophy behind Beautiful Faces Going Places. And this is how connections occur as you're networking in various groups. And I'm a huge advocate of joining, you know, join your local Chamber of Commerce, join other professional associations that are related to your field, volunteer in your local communities and give back. Be of service, be of value, and join other professional networking groups, because that is where the magic happens, through connections and collaboration opportunities, which is what happened here at attending an eWomen Network event where I actually met Celeste. And the next thing you know, she's a speaker on my platform. At our first virtual business week, which was last month, Celeste Giordano was fabulous, sharing building a legacy business. And that was just fantastic. I mean, it was so well attended and received that we're actually doing another one in June. So thank you for asking, Sarah. Our next event is June 22nd through the 26th. And these are our featured speakers. And basically we've taken, instead of having a full day conference, we've just broke it out so that there's an activity every day, an hour and a half every day with a speaker, a training, Q&A, hot seat coaching, and some networking and giveaways. It's just a fun way of staying in business during this new economy, new way of doing business and new world. This past Monday, we started our Spark Conversations and New Connections, and Rebecca Victor, she is a transformational life coach, years of education and training, actually facilitated that workshop, and that was fantastic. And finally, I know you're going to ask me, so since I'm here on the slide, I'm going to go ahead and just share this with you all. Your connections and your conversations start right here at beautifulfacesgoingplaces.com. And we'd love to connect with each and every one of you. As you heard from Aria and Amy Ostigny, it is all about making new connections, conversations, and really developing long-term relationships and collaboration opportunities.
Very
Well,
good.
thank you. As a founder of Professional Women Networking Organization, share some do's and don'ts of networking online and offline.
Okay. You know what I have discovered, and I really feel like we all had to, we've heard that word pivot, right? Pivot, pivot, pivot to the online world. And really the same, I think, etiquette applies to online. As whatever it is you're doing in person, show up professional. I always say, get up, dress up, show up, and never give up. Whatever, show up. I mean, get dressed because everything that you see right here visually is your brand, even online. So really be conscientious of, what's in your background, because that's communicating something to the audience, to the attendees on that Zoom or on that platform online. Everything is communicating from whatever it is you're wearing, your smile on your face, whatever you do. I've seen a few Zoom presenters, in their bedroom, and I just don't think that's appropriate. Think about, would you show up that way in an in-person meeting or in a professional setting? So I think that's a definite no-no. Think about how you're showing up in the world. Also, I think it's really important that as you enter a Zoom room or an online meeting, to make sure you mute yourself when it's necessary. If you need to, exit for a minute or two, or you have to take another call, mute yourself, turn off your video, and excuse yourself. And I also really, truly believe, I think it's so important for etiquette that, if you sign up to attend an event, to network, to hear a speaker or presenter, to be present, the speakers and trainers and coaches have given their time. Same with the meeting facilitator or the event planner, to be present and to participate, and also be respectful of everyone else in the room, and definitely no spamming. This is not where, this is not the purpose, is definitely no spamming. I know I've been privileged to attend other events online, for example, with Amy Ostigny and eWomen Network. And, we all post our information in the chat box, but we're all very respectful of, no spamming. But hey, this is a way to connect. If you made a nice connection, carry that conversation offline with a one-on-one, schedule that. And I think really whatever it is that you would do in person, it parlays into online as well.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And, I remember, Carol, in March, I was going to be one of your guest speakers at your Lunch and Learn, and it was an
Yes.
in-person event, and that's when COVID-19 hit. And
Right.
I get to Cincinnati 2 days before, but the night before, Carol calls and she says, Celeste, I think we need to pivot. And it's like, okay, what do you mean by that?
Right.
We're going to do this virtually. It's like, excuse me? Because I had never done a virtual Zoom event before. That was my first.
Right.
And so again, it's a little bit uncomfortable for some people in the
Yes.
beginning, but you know, during this COVID-19, I love the Zoom meetings as long as
Yes.
they are controlled and they have good substance to them, and it's important. So
Yes.
Araya, do you have any comments about any etiquette? Any comments about the do's and don'ts for networking and Zoom? Because we're all leading Zoom meetings.
Oh yeah. Well, Carol hit it right in the head. Absolutely. You show up, and it's different if you're showing up and you're doing an informal kind of in-house meeting. It's just your colleagues. When you show up to network, you show up like we're showing up today, and you
Yeah.
show up a few minutes early so you make sure the mics are on, make sure there's no noise. You know, my whole family, since we're all doing this at home, know when I'm going on the air. You know, and you all know Brian, he's out there taking care of the dogs, making sure my daughter doesn't barge in and say, hey mom, you know, it's like everybody knows that mom's on live. So it's an event in the house and it needs to be planned properly. And it's really important too, when you were saying earlier about we need to make sure like our picture shows up where we should get off. It's very distracting though if you're going to be on a networking event and you go on and off with your video, because every time you do this, you know, then that goes off, then it shuffles, then you're off, and then attention goes on to me, then back off to, you know, be present. You wouldn't get up and down if you were showing up to an event and sit in the front row and keep getting up and down and up and down and up and down. So just remember that's getting up and down and up and down, and treat others with the attention you'd want to be too. Sometimes, and don't forget, people are watching you. And if you're doing this, you know, people are seeing,
Yes.
you know, or if people are seeing, oh yeah, huh? You
Mhm.
know, we tend to forget that we're being watched. So put everything down and you're there, unless you're chatting with somebody, you had to do something quick, but it's all the visual now. Show up. What you wouldn't do in person at a luncheon, don't do in your Zoom when you're networking professionally.
Yes.
Well, and you know, and I think with the COVID-19, when a lot of networking groups went to the Zoom, you know, we were seeing all this. I even wrote an article on it.
Oh, there was
because
somebody on the toilet. It was hysterical.
it just drove me crazy. It's like, there's no way that I'm gonna sit here and watch half these people doing all this stuff.
It was a learning curve though. The good thing though, learning curve. So now everybody, we thought this was just going to be like for a minute. So nobody really took time to learn, which is all hopping on. But now it's really become a staple. And I know that our What Women Want, and I know you women as well, we're going to keep the virtual piece of it alive. It won't be the only thing we do, but I don't want to stop meeting with Braun from Australia and seeing, you know, Carol and Amy from all these different places. Oh, I miss you guys terribly because I can't get to your events in person. So we'll keep the virtual alive, but now we've all come so far that we've learned the etiquette and we know now, okay, I'm really showing up. But we gave everybody the grace period because, you know, several of us are used to being on TV and used to doing this. So it was a no-brainer for us, but not for most people. They really just didn't have anything set up. The lighting wasn't there. Like you were saying, they're in their bed with their pillow, you know, the cats are crossing them. But I think we've come a whole long way since then that everybody's ready to keep this virtual going and making better than ever. So I see far less of all that I just showed you than I did that first month or two. Gosh, are we going into the 4th month now? How long have we been in quarantine?
April, May, June,
It's
3
going
months.
on, yeah.
Over 100 days.
Amy, do you have any tips on do's and don'ts or what we're talking about? Unmute yourself, please.
Thank you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so some great tips. I've been on a lot of Zooms with eWomen Network and many other Zoom events. And one thing I noticed a lot in the chat box is this. This is a very helpful tip for everyone. People will put in links, but they're not live links. They don't know how Zoom works. How Zoom works is you must use the www.ewomennetwork.com/join. If that link did not have my HTTPS in front of ewomennetwork.com/join, it wouldn't be a live link for them to join. So when you're making like something in chat to sign up for your next event and a link, make sure it's a live link. I can't tell you how many times people will put a bit.ly link in the chat. The bit.ly is not live, so it's useless. Okay, so it's very important. That's a very helpful tip of what to do in the chat is when you're making an offer, make sure you're making that a live link. The other way to connect and network on Zoom, here's a very important tip. In your Zoom box, there's 3 dots. You connect through private messaging and chat only. You never, this is a no rule in Zoom. If you have a speaker, please don't start selling and pitching in the chat box what your name is, what your email is, what your phone is. That is like spamming in chat, okay? You be respectful to that speaker. Don't be selling yourself in the chat, okay? If you want to put yourself, it's kind of like giving everybody your business card in chat. You don't do that. You do it through private connections of people you either connect with one-on-one through your own personal chat boxes yourself, through those 3 dots in your box. That is the proper way on a Zoom event to network, is you use personal, say, hey, text me. Let's have a follow-up call next week and schedule it, okay? So many times during a Zoom event, there's a break. Your break is the time you go through all those Zoom connections in your Zoom room, right? And that's when you start sending people private messages. But don't start spamming people in the whole chat box with all your offers and your special deals. That's not appropriate to be making like sales offers unless you're called upon to include a link for something that you're a presenter and somebody asks. So please be mindful when you're on Zoom. And the last thing I want to leave you with is this. If you do a Zoom, I would recommend this. Use Sway. Sway is a great tool that many people don't know about. It is a program that allows you to have an electronic program for your Zoom. So tomorrow's 11th Annual Women's Success Summit, I'm using Sway, S-W-A-Y. That creates a virtual program, S-W-A-Y. And so what happens is all my sponsors have a promo video that I put in my Sway, and that becomes my program for my Zoom event. That is a very helpful tool. Again, I'm all about sharing resources with my members, but you want to use Sway as a program tool that then you can put in the chat box the link. Now here's the tip. The email goes out the day before. Like today, my email went out to tomorrow's attendees. 100 attendees got my Sway link. So all those people that are sponsoring my event tomorrow get all that pre-promotion before my Zoom event. Then the Sway link goes into my Zoom event tomorrow. So that's another time they get spotlighted. And then after a Zoom event, it's called marketing after the event. People forget to do this on their Zoom events. Yes. It's called marketing the next day. So the next day, it's a thank you email that says, thank you for attending my Zoom. And by the way, make sure you check out my sponsors with my Sway link. Now, those sponsors are offering free gifts. So they're going to want to watch the video. Like this necklace, New York City, Untamed Hearts. She's giving away a necklace. So you also want to ask your Zoom sponsors if they'd like to do, like this is a valuable, gorgeous necklace from a New York designer. She's giving away a raffle during Zoom. So many people want to make an offer that get an opt-in, which is a free offer. Don't be pitching and selling. You don't want to do that on Zoom. You want people to opt into a website, like download 10 free tips. You want to put a link to a free opt-in so you don't look salesy on Zoom. Is that helpful?
Very much so. Very good.
Thank you.
Go look up Sway.
Well, Sarah, we have about 6 minutes that I'd like to wrap this up, and I'd like to go back to each of our guests here tonight because Sarah and I were very honored and privileged to have you on our show here tonight. And I'd just like for you to tell us your name and the name of your networking group, how they can get a hold of you. And I want to start with Carol Dockham because also a little bird told me that you're doing some global expansion, Miss Carol. So we'll start with you.
Sure. Yes, we are expanding globally. I know in our virtual events, since we all had to pivot since March, we've had people from India, Canada, and Australia, all over the USA. And I also had Chamber of Commerce executive directors jumping on to just check out and do some
Awesome.
benchmarking, which was really, really cool. And I like Amy, want to share resources and information. So yeah, so we are expanding. We are looking for chapter leads in different cities and states and countries. And I really, truly believe that there are 7 billion people plus people around the world that need information, resources, and education and opportunities to connect and expand. So I'm looking for, movers and shakers that would love that opportunity. And so I'd love to connect with them. And yes, you can find me at beautifulfacesgoingplaces.com on social media and YouTube as well. And yeah, connect with me online on LinkedIn.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Araya McGarry.
Well, first of all, Carol, I just love that name. Beautiful Faces Going Places.
Thank
You
you.
had me at hello on that one. And I'm just already, we're very, I know Amy's the same way, and Charlene, everybody's on here, and Sarah, everyone. When I meet somebody new, it's just instinct. I pick up my phone. I went to your Facebook. I've already liked your page, and I want to join you as well because I'm impressed with you as a leader and love to be a part of it, just like I'm part of You Women, and then the leader, one of the leaders of What Women Want, because I think together we achieve more.
Absolutely.
And, yeah, and I don't want to be a member of everything. I like a good 5 or 10 good quality, and I really just have the 2 that I'm really part of now. So 1 or 2 more is good because then I can have good, respectful referrals for people,
Absolutely.
So I'm excited about yours. Just love that. Beautiful Faces Going Places. Love it. So mine is what we're doing is What Women Want Networking. You can go to whatwomenwantnetworking.com, find out all the new events, come in virtually. The membership there now is been tweaked for this virtual platform, but the president, Catherine Marshall, and I are going to be having a meeting next week. We're growing as well into some diamond memberships. We're growing into some new chapters, and we're really excited about the future. But right now we're small enough that we really can take your hand and say, what do you need next? Who do you need to know next? So it's very hands-on. We're not worldwide or global yet. So we're still pretty much on the East Coast. So you're at that beginning stages as far as our new growth happening. So we'd love to have you. If you want to talk to me and you have some questions, just go to Araya McGarry Productions on Facebook or Instagram or info@arayamcgarry.com. And just a shout out, I know Carol is salt of the earth. Celeste and Sarah, anything you do is amazing. And Amy with eWomen is tried and true. I can't imagine my last 18 years in business and direct selling and coaching and speaking, being an author without eWomen by my side. So such great girlfriend camaraderie and collaborations here because we don't compete as women, we collaborate.
Absolutely.
I love y'all.
Very good. Thank you so much, Araya. Mr. Amy, unmute yourself, please.
Hi. Again, the best way to follow us is ewomennetwork.com. We're connected to 500,000 entrepreneurs globally and locally. It is the largest database of entrepreneurs in the world. So go to ewomennetwork.com, and then you can go /events to find all the events. You can go /join to join. You also want to like and follow eWomen Network Cincinnati on Facebook to get all the latest and greatest events on Facebook. Again, I would love to invite you to our event tomorrow, the 11th annual eWomen Network Success Summit. It would just be an honor to have all of you join us. So thank you.
Absolutely. Sarah, do you have some closing comments for this wonderful session that we just had here about growing your business in this new economy through successful networking groups? And we have had some of the premier key leadership in networking on our show tonight.
Oh, I've learned quite a few nuggets. First, Sway, never heard of it. I love the do's and don'ts. And Araya, it's always good to see you. It's been too long.
Way too long.
I love learning from other people, and this environment is wonderful for me. But yeah, I've been truly enjoyed all of this and learning.
Very good. Anybody else have anything they'd like to say? Araya or Carol or Amy?
Thank
No?
you for having us for sure. And don't anybody go away because your next two guests are absolutely amazing too. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Oh,
And
thank you, Araya.
thank you,
Thank
ladies,
you.
for joining us. And I believe that you can go onto YouTube or somewhere and put your information about your networking groups and how they can get a hold of you. And as Araya said, the second hour of our Global Wealth Building a Legacy Business is going to be growing your business in the new economy through financial wealth. And our guest tonight is Charlene McGregor, Regional Marketing Director with HGI, Hedgeman Group International, and Jody Humphrey, who's a National Field Director. So we would like to welcome both of you to our show tonight for our second hour on financial wealth. And I think everybody needs to buckle their seatbelt because we've already got the momentum going about the networking part of the business. And now we're going to learn about the financial wealth. So Charlene, would you like to go first?
Sure. Thank you. So what would you like me to talk about?
I would like for you to tell a little bit about yourself and your position with HGI, and just tell us a little bit about you and how we can get a hold of you, please.
Well, I have been involved with HGI for about 3.5, almost 4 years. And when I came into the company, I didn't know that it was something that I wasn't used to. I came into it with no financial background whatsoever. And what I have learned in the process of this is that if I haven't learned some of these very basic concepts, financial concepts, how many other people in the world, in the United States, haven't learned them as well? There's only 6 states in the United States that requires you to have a financial course. And the 6 states is Alabama, North Carolina, Tennessee, Utah, and I can't think of the other one. But anyway, those out of 50 states, there's only 6 states that require you to have one course to graduate with. And to me, that is a travesty. And so what we do is we help Middle America learn very basic financial concepts so they can have a very basic understanding of how to take care of their financial needs without having to deal with somebody else always saying, how do I do this? How do I do this? You want to be empowered yourself to have that information.
Now, Charlene, I've got a client, okay? And he passed away yesterday and he did not have a will. So you can only imagine trepidation, things that I've gone through in the past 2 days, helping the family, helping he was a partner in a partnership. Talk about that, because my last 2 days of enduring that has been heartbreaking.
Well, Sarah, number one, I'm very, very sorry to hear that. It's always really hard when friends and family, pass away, and especially when they're not prepared for that. Did you know that even some of the most famous people died without having a will? And can you imagine what their families have gone through? Like it was Prince. He didn't have a will, and neither did Aretha Franklin.
Oh, wow.
And so you think that all these people have all this information, but they don't. It's one of those things that you don't have it until you need it, and it's so important to be prepared for so many things. So as far as your friend and having to go through all of the things that you need to, unfortunately, those things are going to have to go through probate, and it's going to take a little bit of time for everything to get settled in. And Jody, is there anything that you want to add to that?
No, hey guys, I appreciate being here, and I'll introduce myself in just a little while. But I appreciate you sharing that, Sarah. I mean, being open about that, and that's the only way we can learn through our dialogue. But as Charlene said, it's an epidemic, and one of the biggest misconceptions is that that people don't need a will unless they have a lot of assets, and that's absolutely not true. Every person that's over 25 years old should have a will. So if you have children, you absolutely have to, because there is one, whether you have one or not, it will be imposed on you. However, once something happens, the best time to build an ark is before it rains, but you can't help, that doesn't help you at this point. But there are financial professionals, there are people that are qualified to help you work your way through it, and they can work in an education business. It's you want to make sure also to be careful of who comes. Most people come to talk to you because they're trying to sell you things, but there are people who can help you with information and just really do a good job with that. And we can provide people who do that service for you and just help walk you through what's coming your way. Because right now, you just when you're in a hole, you want to quit digging. You don't want to compound the situation. So I wouldn't do anything without having someone who is an expert in that arena telling you what to do, because every step from here is a big deal. And so there are people. There's a company that's a third party company called Net Law that we know of that we've used in the past. And the guys who run that they're geniuses at it. It's a very what basically is that we take Wall Street to Main Street. We take what's historically been for the ultra wealthy and allow that to go to mainstream America. So we'll make sure you have an opportunity to talk to the guys who run that.
Awesome. So what is some of the basic knowledge that people should know or have? Basic financial knowledge.
All right, Charlene, go over your part and I'll jump in as we go.
Oh, the basic financial knowledge, like the foundational things that you need to know. Okay. So, all right, I've got a couple of things here. So it's really important to have the basic financial knowledge of just knowing how your savings can grow. And there's rules and concepts that the rich and famous know about, but who is teaching Middle America some of these concepts? One of those concepts is the Rule of 72. What the Rule of 72 is that it is a way to determine how long it takes an investment to double. And how you do this is you divide the number 72 by the interest rate that you are offered by your bank or whatever investment that you have. And that will tell you how long it takes for your money to double. Now, it makes sense that the higher percentage that you have, in that, the shorter amount it takes for your money to grow. Now, we do have a slide that shows some of the numbers for the Rule of 72. And it's kind of astounding that if your money grows at 1%, people don't even think about this, but at a bank right now, you probably get less than 1%. So how long does that take? How long would it take your money to double at 1%? Does anybody even think about that?
No.
It takes 72 years for your money to double. It's like, oh my goodness. So like I said, some of these concepts people just need to know about them. They really do. So I think Jody's going to have that slide up here in just a second to show you how fast.
I'll show it in a few minutes or whenever I get it out there. You just keep going. Hey, by the way, hang on a second. Let me see. Can you see this slide?
Can't see anything.
Hang on a second. We'll pull it up. Keep going on the other ones, Charlene. I'll go back to that.
I have a question, Charlene and Jody. So we were talking about the importance of wills. And in the last couple of days, I've had several conversations with some friends that this topic has come up with the wills. And so, what advice do you give younger generations where they have elderly parents that are aging and about the will? Should they know about the will? Should they read the will? Or, what about when there's children and the way that it's dispersed? How do you keep people from arguing once the deceased has gone? I mean, do you have any tidbits or advice to people that are planning their will?
Well, there's about 4 or 5 different aspects to a basic estate planning document. And one of them is the last will and testament. And that is who will get your things and who will care for your children. A durable power of attorney is that you appoint an individual to make decisions about your finances. And if you don't do this, then the state will do it for you. So it's so important to have your will in place. A living will is the part that, you know, if you decide that you don't want to be kept alive by a machine, but if you don't have that written down, then that is what's going to happen. So, and then the other one is the healthcare surrogate. And if you're unable to talk, or if something happens, you're not able to communicate how you want your healthcare to be taken care of, then the hospital will have free reign to do what they want to. So it's really important to have the healthcare surrogate taken care of. And of course, the HIPAA, and that is where you appoint an individual to have access to your what am I trying to say? Your medical records. So if these things aren't taken care of, it's so sad that the state will take over, and that's like a nightmare to me.
Hey, Celeste, one of the things, and I'll talk about in a few minutes, and this all comes together, and it all comes out of communication. One of the things that's our crusade, I think one of the things that we, and before I get going, thanks for having us on. And I was very impressed with the people who spoke earlier, and I was inspired by that and learned some great things. But where we come together is our crusade, if you will, and that is the betterment of people. And, you know, right now we're in a troubled time. And you know, if you go back, even in the disarray that's happening on the social front and what's gone on in the pandemic, a lot of that is financial based. People have been, you know, repressed financially, and it has caused this great discord. Most any problem that you have, money may not fix it, but it can surely make it easier for you to go through it. And it provides some options, and it all comes down to education. So getting back on this, we're all about one family at a time having a proper financial education going. And what's happened, the problem is that you have two groups of people in the country. You have what's historically been wealthy. You know, if you have $250,000 or $300,000 sitting around, you got a lot of friends. You know, we always say that success is relative. The more success you have, the more relatives show up, you know, and that's funny but true. But the problem is the normal people that have worked hard, and you know, maybe they have 50,000 saved, 30,000, 100,000, or maybe they're restarting. Merrill Lynch isn't coming to their house. Nothing wrong with Merrill Lynch, but that's not in their wheelhouse. So what we've done is that we're taking that same information to everyone. Things like wills and trusts are things that people have always thought that's what you do when you got it all together. And that's not true. And it's also not something that's also, it's not very expensive. It's very reasonable to get a world-class set up for yourself. And when I'm all about families, when we talk to one part of the family, we then try to, if we're talking to a 40-year-old, then we'll try to make sure their kids are in the conversation as well as their parents. So you get the grandparents, the parents, so that you create a pattern of communication. And what happens is when somebody's educated and then there's conversations and there's clarity, that's when you avoid all the situations that you're talking about. You know, I unfortunately am going to a funeral tomorrow of my very best friend. He's actually my uncle. I had a baby uncle. He was born 9 months after me, and he's been with me my whole life. But I know we're going to a funeral. I'm holding my breath because I know at weddings and funerals, you know, they make movies about that because people go crazy. And very close siblings have been torn apart because of this. So it is a very good question, Celeste. So through an education, yes, they should ask about it. Obviously, they don't want to be beating up grandma about what she's going to give them. And they don't necessarily have to read the will, but a lot of healthy relationships come from people knowing where things are. One of the programs that we subscribe to is, and the reason going through the will process is so good is it causes you to get all your documents together. And I know we're entrepreneurs, and I can talk amongst us girls. Entrepreneurs historically are not the most organized financially people. Historically, people that are in marketing are entrepreneurs. They have tax issues. They don't save money. It's just the other side of the brain. It's just we're phenomenal at making money, and we're incredible at communicating, but we're not always the ones who, so we go and try to make sure. So going through this process, it really helps because it helps you get all your documents in one place. So this is a great, just the process of setting up a will and a trust is a great financial exercise that will almost cover every other part of whatever your issues happen to be. So it's a cornerstone right now. And also it's very much on people's minds. There's no way that someone went through COVID without questioning their own mortality. There's no way. The people, everyone sitting in their homes thought about their mortality. Everyone thought about their family. Everyone thought about what's important to them. You know, I know those things have been seared into people's minds, but the problem is with human nature, we forget things real quick. As soon as we get outdoors, we'll forget all the bad times, you know, but we really think it's important right now to hit what you're talking about. So that's a great question. And people need to know that. Charlie did a good job explaining the different, the 4 or 5 things that are the keys, but it is something that's a very basic part of any families. And that conversation, we want these conversations happening in homes. We want financial conversations, and I'll show you a couple of things here in a second. I think I have it here.
Let me tell Celeste one thing real quick. So, and the great thing about the net loss, Celeste, is that, okay, my screen went blank. Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so the great thing about the net law is that it's online. So you can do it in the privacy and the comfort of your own home. You can do it when you've got a few minutes. If you want to take a block of time and do it all at one time. It's portable. If you go to another state, you know, it's good in that state. It's, you know, you don't have to go to a lawyer's office and make an appointment and sit down and do documents with them. All the documents are right there in your computer, and you can update it. You can add other things to it, like insurance policies. If you have some special pictures, anything that's near and dear to your heart, like a recipe that your grandmother gave you, all that stuff can be put into that vault and kept safe. So when it's time to look at it, it's all right there. You're not trying to find a piece of paper in a folder someplace that's been sitting for 30 years. So
now,
it's really
question. Let's just say I made my will when I was 25, and I'm just a few years older than that now, but how, so I can change that at any time, right? It's not a hard process to change.
No, it is not a hard process at all. And the people that we work with walk you through it. They will be on the phone with you, and they'll walk you through everything to help you get all that stuff taken care of.
And I would encourage you, whether it's through someone that we refer or whether it's someone you go through on your own, I would definitely make sure that if you don't do it through a company like we're talking about, the issue is that if you do it one time, you have an attorney set you up, but then you have to go back and do it again with another attorney and go back and do it again with another attorney. If you do it right the first time with a group that's specialists in it, part of the fee, that part of your setup is that you have the ability to go in with them and change it throughout the program, usually at no cost, but also they'll help you, they'll prompt you, they'll come back and routinely come back and ask you when they can help you if there's any updates. They have a routine check-in. It's kind of like a car maintenance plan, you know, that there are times that you need to do it. So that's a great question. Okay. But I want to show you something real quick. Make sure that you can see this. And I hope that you can. Can you see that okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, super. This is a direct answer to what Celeste asked, or actually, I think it was Sarah. You asked, what are the basic things that every family should know? Every person, here's the thing about this, okay? And this kind of, if you just listen to my words as I set this up. Historically, before the internet and before the baby boomers, we just did whatever we were taught. You bought what your parents bought. You had an insurance policy, you saved money in a bank, you had a pension plan, and you were counting on Social Security. That was America. But as the baby boomers got older, we all started asking questions. Why? And then the internet came along. So now we're in the era of empowerment. But this is the last area people are getting empowered with. What our belief is this. And instead of Sarah having to count on all these other people to take care of her financial world, we should take care of our own. Who better than us being educated on how money works for us to be the master of our own kingdom? That is what we believe. We are believe in the age of empowerment to give you great information, therefore you can make great decisions. But I believe everything on this page, if someone does not know all these things, and Charlene made a great point, I talk to people that are in college that don't know these things. And a lot of us, when we educate people that are 50 or 60, they always say, I wish I'd learned about these. Just the main one, she talked about the rule of 72. But on the bottom right, the circle, the flight, the safety, the circle of safety. Right now, that's what people want to know. How can I make sure that I'm not losing my money? They're scared to death of the market. They don't know what it all means. But every one of these things, we teach it free on free education courses. I mean, so these aren't things that are tied to where we're trying to make money off of them. We educate you on all those. For example, the law of building equity is obvious. You want to build equity in your life. But right below that, life insurance with living benefits, that's something everyone needs to know, because in the past, life insurance is a little bit of a dirty word. It sounds like we're selling you something, and it only pays off when you die. But life insurance with living benefits is pivotal, because living benefits, it addresses the bigger problem in today's world. You're much more likely to live than you are to die. You're much more likely to get sick for an extended period of time. If I was to talk to you, let's just say, Sarah, we met at a ball game and we were talking, and I just said, hey, what's the biggest threat to your wealth? I would have said taxes. Other people would have said a bad investment. But the number one threat to all of our wealth on this page is our health.
Yeah.
If you have one catastrophic health issue, it can wipe out all your savings. It can take your business away. And there's policies with living benefits. If someone does not have living benefits and they can qualify for them, they need to get them in the next 24 hours. Because what they do is, if you get sick, you have a heart attack, stroke, or a cancer, you are able to go take care of yourself. As a matter of fact, if you want to, you can go to YouTube, and if you put in AIG, which is big company, AIG, and living benefits, and put Chris Edwards, he's a guy who was part of our company. And because he got one of these products, he came down, he had a $750,000 policy, and he came down with cancer, and they paid him $600,000 while he was alive. He was able to take care of his daughter's wedding, make sure all his debts were paid. And Celeste, this is a big deal too, because he got that money before he died, so he was able to make sure his kids didn't fight. This gets back into what you're talking about. He was able to distribute. So these are very simple things. Active money management, that phrase, tell you what that means. That's what you would get if you had $300,000 and you put money with, whether it was Merrill Lynch or Morgan Stanley or all the big boys, they would provide you active money management. But if you don't have that amount, you just got to go to the bank. Well, there are ways to get active money management for as little as $20,000 or $30,000 in an account, and that's the secret to the wealthy. So we go through all these things, and taxes are our biggest nemesis. At some point, your tax plan is going to either help you or do you in, and there is a way to create a tax-free retirement, and that's one of the secrets of the wealthy also. And so there's just a lot of wonderful things on here that we talk about. And one other thing. And I actually, I'll pull this up. So now, what were your other questions on that, guys?
Well, before we move on to the next thing, because I know we have a lot to cover here today.
Sure.
But I do want to cover a couple of scenarios with a will, just for our audience, our listeners, because we have, young people, millennials, we have, baby boomers, we have the elderly. And so let's break that down, Jody and Charlene, where we have 3 scenarios. So let's take the elderly couple who does the will and how they need to think when they're putting this will together, how it will affect that family when they're gone. So it will have peace and unity, because some of the conversations that I had is where siblings thought that everything was equal, and then when it was all done and said, it wasn't. The parents led them to believe everything was equal, and then it wasn't when it was all done and said.
Right. Charlene, you want to talk about that? Then I will.
Well, was there a will written?
Yes, but what I'm saying is that all these years, these parents were telling the children that they're all equal, they treat each other equal, everything will be divided 50-50. There was only 2 of them. And then when it was done and said, it wasn't. And they're gone. And so now the siblings have a rivalry because of the parents weren't honest.
Yeah, well, that's one of those things to where obviously honesty is the best policy. It never is it more evident than right there. And it's one of those things to where, you know, what as a professional and what we do, our responsibility is to go over scenarios for the people who have the money. And part of the process we go through is to educate the children on what they actually have and managing expectations, because a lot of this comes down to legacy. That's one of the things I know your organization is all about. I know it's at the very core of what we do. And at the end, you know, your legacy of integrity and your financial legacy, those are the 2 things that you have to offer. And obviously things could certainly be tainted if there's not preparation. So it's I think one of the things we do is we educate those who are putting the money into the trust, into the wills, to make sure that they know that what they do is going to, you know, greatly affect their family. Because a lot of times you have the law of unintended consequences where people, they hadn't thought through what it's going to do, why it's going to be that way. So we spend time on the front end making sure people are educated, you know, with what with what they're trying to do. So that's the best. You know, unfortunately, there's nothing else, because it's a very fine line, because you can't get in somebody else's business. You know what I mean? And that's a tough thing. So, but we do make sure that we go through and educate that. And, you know, that's all you can do on those.
So from a baby boomer standpoint, let's say, what tips would you give them and how they have a conversation with an elderly parent about in their wills, their finances and things of that nature? And, you know, do they have a conversation with them, or do they encourage them to introduce them to their financial advisor? I mean, you know, give us a stepping stone for this, Jody and Charlene.
Yeah, you know, I'll tell you one thing, if you don't mind, Charlene. I'll go on this one. One of the things that's real important is, I wish the biggest issue was that people had wills and there wasn't communication. The biggest issue is people don't have. The biggest issue is people have no money and it doesn't matter at all, right?
Right.
Because I want to make a real important point on this. I went to a seminar one time and they wanted me to speak on generational wealth. They wanted me to teach how to go. And I spoke to a room full of 200 people that I know had no money. I knew them. And I'm like, guys, I will teach you this, but your biggest issue is accumulating wealth. I mean, you know what I mean? And also, you got to understand that your debts can pass on.
Well, that's going to lead up to the next question. Like,
so, yeah, because that's
like what Sarah's saying, that she had a client. So as far as a will, and you're a partnership in a business, what do you do to protect yourself?
So I'll blend all this together, because I'll kind of go 30,000 feet and then break it down to specific.
Right.
You know, the biggest issue, and I've seen this, unfortunately, where people at funerals have been just bereaved and distraught, and had someone walk up and go, "I'm sorry about that, but Fred owed me $10,000. I mean, I've seen that actually happen, and because people, you know, they don't care. And because you can listen, you can even back this off of this. And I have got to say this. The worst scenario is when people pass away and they're elderly and they have to have a GoFundMe at church to bury them. Okay, that's your scenario first. And that's a huge issue. Your first thing in a financial plan is to make sure that you're covered, because insurance can be a financial tool. It can also cover, a lot of times people will teach you how to use insurance to pay to avoid taxes on the higher money that you make, but at its lowest form, it's got to be enough to bury somebody. So then you go to the other scenario that you're talking about, which is where people, you know, haven't prepared. And this is a pivotal moment in our country's history. And I think you're really hitting on something, Celeste. I think this is a big deal, because what's happening is there's what's called the Great Wealth Wave. And what's happened is, because of the baby boomers' success over the next 20 years, more money is going to move from one generation to the next than has ever moved because
Right.
of the aging baby boomers and their parents. That money and that debt's going to pass from one generation to the next. So when money moves, that's a huge thing, and that's what you're talking about. And so now that this is a moment of preparation, we got to get ahead of this curve and have all the conversations, or there's going to be tremendous resentment. So I think once you've educated a family, let's say you talk to about a baby boomer, if they're educated and once they understand how money works enough to know, hey, this is a big deal. And see what happens is people don't, it's shrouded in secrecy. It's like when you go to the bank, you know they know something you don't know, but they're not going to tell you. You know, it's kind of like when you buy a car, you know you're getting taken advantage of, you just don't know how it's happening, you know? And so that's what happens when it comes to how money works. And so if we educate them and that we articulate it to where they are empowered, they then can go have the conversations with their parents. We encourage everyone to go have that conversation with them to make sure that they're set. And a lot of times they may have had a financial planner that's been with them for a long time. That does not mean it doesn't need to be reviewed. Quite candidly, everything needs to be reviewed by someone else over time, because Fred, who's been taking care of grandma, might not have been doing the best job. One other real important point on this, Celeste, is this, and this is something that if someone asks me what we did the last 4 or 5 years that caused our explosion, it's one thing, is that we made a decision not to ride just one pony. For example, if someone just sells insurance and they call you up to, hey, I want to come talk to you. Well, they'll talk about all kinds of stuff, but it really doesn't matter what you say. They've already made up their mind that the answer is insurance, right, or real estate or whatever. Okay. Well, what we believe in is a different philosophy, and that is taking the approach to where we sit down and say, hey, what are you more of do you like strawberry, chocolate, or vanilla? You know, are you more of an insurance, a real estate, or stock market person? And Charlene may say she likes the stock market. Sarah may say, you know, she likes insurance, and Araya may say she likes something different. We have all those. We literally under one umbrella have real estate products, investment products, and insurance-based products, and even some alternative investments, because this is a big thing. Because that way, if people don't know alternatives, it may have been something better for them. So we educate those families and we encourage, and it's in our best interest to make sure they talk to their parents and their kids, because it creates more clients. So it's the right thing to do, and it helps us.
Absolutely. And I'd like to bring Charlene back into this because what you're talking about here, Jody, is education, and why it's important to start planning for your financial future earlier rather than later. And right, like the millennial generation, you know, that people think they have a lot of money, but a lot of them, they don't. I mean, they're minimal people. They maybe don't have houses, this or that, and they're all about serving the communities, which I'm all about serving communities, but they're not long-term planners, I don't believe.
Yeah, absolutely, Charlie.
I got distracted, you guys. I can't see you, and I'm trying to get back on this Zoom.
No, we can see you. Just talk. We can see you.
Okay.
Did you hear the question?
My question is, why is it important to start planning for your financial future earlier rather than later? And the education that we need to get out there to the different generations, because they're all at a different stage, whether it's for a will, whether it's for insurance, and the importance of needing it.
Well, in my opinion, the reason why you want to start earlier than later is because there's so much time that has passed that you could have used that money to use the money that you have saved to be able to compound it. I mean, the longer it takes to put money away, the less time you have for it to compound and to save. And so, you know, earlier is always better in almost everything. It's as far as money is concerned, or exercise and all kinds of other things. So, and that's, again, this is where we come in and we try to educate families on the urgency of, getting things done early and more expediently.
I don't know if you can see the screen or not.
I can't
Charlene.
see anything.
This is, Charlene had asked me to have this prepared for her. Basically, it's talking about what she just said. And I'll make sure that you can hopefully see it a little bit bigger. But it's why not to wait. And basically what it does is it shows two sisters. Let's say that Charlene and Sarah were siblings, and that they both were 25 years old, and somebody started talking to them about how money worked. And so they both liked what they heard, but let's say that Sarah was the one who implemented it, and Charlene said, oh, I'll wait and save some money later. I want to have some fun. So let's say Sarah, for time on the left, the one that starts today, let's say that for the time that she's 25 to the time she's 31, that she saves $3,600 a year. Okay. And so, and then she stops, she gets distracted. She starts going out spending her money. And so she's put away, you can see at the bottom, she's put away $25,000. So now go on the right side, let's say Charlene looks over and sees Sarah and says, she turns 31 and she saved no money. And she's like, yeah, my sister's ahead. I got to catch up with her. So from the time she's 31 to the time she's 48, she saves $3,600 a year. So now she's put in $61,000. But what's crazy is that they end up with almost the same money. Even though Charlene's put in 3 times more money than Sarah, she waited. And I love this example because we call it the high cost of waiting. And that's a powerful slide. And it's because if you don't start early, I give you an example. One of the things that you'll learn is that people, they think it's this mythical number of having $1 million saved. That sounds like a lot of money, but really it's not enough money, but people think it is. If you're 55 years old and you're starting from scratch, you got to save $5,000 a month to have $1 million. Let's just talk straight. I mean, that's a slim to none chance that that's going to happen. One other thing, Celeste, specifically on what you answered, and Charlene, jump in anywhere because I'm not trying to hog the conversation.
I understand, Jody. I'm listening to you guys, and I'll jump in. I just can't see you.
But what I was going to say was that you mentioned the question about millennials, and this is really important, okay? Because every strata is different. The millennials have this issue. One is that they're saddled with student debt that no one else has ever had.
Yes, that's true.
So they're behind, and they're extremely cynical because they feel like they've been dealt a raw hand, okay? When in fact, it's no worse than what we had it, but they feel like it is, okay? But they do have this other reality, okay? And that is that they need to be their own bank. They have to be their own financial plan because they will not work for a company for 40 years and get a 401k. They switch companies all the time.
Yep.
First of all, most of us aren't even getting pensions.
No.
So there are no more pensions. So they're sitting there. So they have to be their own financial planner. Of all people, they have to be. Then you have the Gen Xers, the people that are a little bit older than the millennials. They're suffering. They're making 80, 90,000 a year. They thought they'd be getting ahead, but they can't. And I want to introduce one phrase here. We call this the new 6 figures. Okay. And this is really important. Okay. I know when I came up and was cutting my teeth and I got my job and I started my career, before I was able to make some money, I thought, man, if I could make $100,000 in a year, I'd come home, I'd roll around in the money, and that was a huge status symbol to be a 6-figure earner. Well, if you made $100,000 a year in 1990, for you to have the same lifestyle today, you're supposed to be making $300,000 a year. And it's very few people that make $300,000 a year.
You're right.
This is a huge thing. When I told this, Celeste, when I told this to my sister, she started crying because my sister and her husband, they work hard. They make $100,000 between them. And in their mind, they're like, well, we don't feel wealthy. We're barely paying our bills. Because if you make $100,000 today, it means you really are making $30,000 from when we came into the game.
Right.
And that is a huge revelation. So that's the reality. And that's the Gen Xers. That's what they they're out just, if you try to live around where most of us live, if you live around Swanee, Duluth, North Atlanta,
Right.
you've got to make 100,000 even to keep your lights on, much less send your kids to private school or to go have any kind of sports programs or whatever. So that's a really big thing. And then the baby boomers, we're the wealth recovery plan. You know, we've made all the money. If we were to go add up all the money we've made in our life, it would make you physically ill because your bank account does not match anywhere near what we've made. And so here we sit in our 50s and we got to go back and we got to go make up for the fact that we raised families or that maybe we got sick or whatever the case may be. So Charlene, you want to add anything on that?
No, I think that you have covered it very well, Jody.
Right.
And I just want to speak to this. I am one of those people that had a good career, got laid off in 08, and you know, times were hard. You do what you had to do. And since then, I've had cancer twice. So it feels like every time I turn around, I'm in a COVID-19 situation, right? But luckily, I had good financial education to help me get through that. Talk a little bit about that, how important that financial education is, and it can move you out of those pandemic times.
Oh, it's fantastic. You want to add it? Give a couple of thoughts on that, Charlie, then I'll add some.
You know, the financial education aspect of what we do is absolutely priceless. Simply, I mean, one of the things that is just so simple is, but we didn't know about it was, you know, how does your money double? I mean, who in the world would have thought that dividing a number by 72 would give you such a powerful tool to be able to, you have such control over how much money that you actually make. And the whole thing to me about this, about the education is that you have the power over your own money instead of, you know, you having to rely on somebody else to make this decision about a stock, you know, buying a stock or selling a stock. You know, it's very empowering to be able to know that. And we teach all these things, and it's just enlightening. It's very exciting.
And
Every
one thing,
family needs to know this.
one thing I want to mention on this just real quick, because this is the reason she's saying this, and I want to give it credence. Talking about the rule of 72, this is the basic thing everybody has to know, because when we grow up, I grew up, you know, 4 is twice as much as 2 and 8's twice as much as 4. But that's not true, okay, when it comes to how money works. And this piece is the cornerstone of all financial education. When we're sitting down with a family, if they do not understand this slide, we will not go on any other conversation. And this is a revelatory slide. For example, Albert Einstein figured out that 72 was the magic number that she was talking about. For example, if somebody had 2%, 2 goes into 72 36 times. So your money will double every 36 years. So if your money's at 10,000 in 36 years, it's 20,000. Now, if it's at 4%, four goes into 72 18 times, it doubles every 18 times. So it makes sense. Okay, this is a logical one, because if I said to Sarah, I said, look, if my money grew to 20,000 at 2% and it grew to 40,000 at 4%, what would it be at 8%? 90% of the people would say 80,000.
Yeah.
Because they would go, okay, but it's not. This is the whole game, okay? I call this the Atlantic Station slide. Because if you're driving downtown, you go through 85 and you come around that corner and you see Atlantic Station, right there you see the BB&T and you see all those banks. There's 7 banks. It's because they know this. Because 8 goes into 72 9 times and your money doubles every 9 years. And I'll tell you this, at 12%, it's 600,000. And you may say, well, no one's getting 12%. Well, you're paying it on your credit card. So that means the bank pays you 2%.
Yeah, the
That's
bank
exactly right.
Exactly. So the bank talks you into giving you this. And by the way, it's even less than 2%. But then they take your money and they go out and they build Atlanta with it. And then they go out and loan their money out to different people. So, you know, that's what happens. And that is a major thing on how that works. And and to directly answer, Sarah, what you asked, is that, you talk about your financial education has saved you. And this is so important because if somebody goes and buys a car, if you and I buy the same car, you may be paying $800 a month and I may be paying $400 based on my credit.
Mhm.
Right.
Just by somebody having their basic understanding of getting their credit in order. And that's something else that we put under our umbrella. It's just that if somebody doesn't, we can help them do that. But that alone is a huge deal. But that is, our kids don't understand that. Our kids and grandkids, this is some other foreign thing. They're getting credit cards at 18 years old. And so they get in a hole and they need credit repair when they're 20 years old. It's craziness. So, it's got to become your creed. And Celeste, I think this is part of what you're talking about, is that this has got to be indoctrinated into families. It's got to be something you discuss Sunday night or whenever you're sitting around the table. It's got to be those powerful things, because if you're prepared, you shall not fear. That's one of the most quoted biblical principles, and that's very true from a financial point of view. Because I could spout all this information, and I've had a high profile life and I made a lot of money, but I've stepped in it a few times. I made some not so good choices. And so as I went through some downtimes, the fact that I had little to no debt always saved me. Because even if all of a sudden you're struggling income wise, cash flow wise, if you have no debt to service, well, then you're going to be okay.
Right.
And so it's all those type things to prepare a family for. And everything about a healthy marriage, is financial based.
Mhm.
I mean, most all divorces, I can't remember the numbers, 75 or 80% were because of, or certainly, accelerated because of financial issues. Because, you may say, well, that's not true. Fred had an affair. Well, but what happened was you were estranged way before. There was tension in the house, and all of a sudden the husband hides something he's embarrassed about financially, and they're not communicating. And then all of a sudden they don't talk, and then all of a sudden things go off the rails, and that happens. Unfortunately, you pull that out. This is a fixable. Here's what's awesome. This is a fixable part. This is a solution that people want to take care of the whole race things that are going on. This is something that can help now. Financial education can help now. And, there's so many, one of the big things we're seeing is women who raised families because they chose to. They were educated, professional, and they raised families, and now those kids are grown up or they've gone through a divorce, and now they're coming back into the workforce. I personally think that's the most talented group of people that are out there, and you guys are doing an incredible job of empowering them. So here, that group's coming out, they're desperate, they're thirsty, they want to know how money works. That saves people, because that education can help you know how to speak intelligently. If someone doesn't understand the things we're talking about, if all of a sudden you're on your own, Sarah, and things are bad, you got to go have a conversation with someone. You got to be able to even speak the language.
Mhm.
You want to have confidence. The person who has money saved has confidence. They look people in the eye. They're able to not feel, inferior in any way. So those things are very important.
Why has middle America been abandoned by the traditional financial services industry?
It's just, unfortunately, it's a money issue. It's just, they've chosen, it's worth their money to go to the top 1%. I mentioned a little bit about it earlier that if you have money, you have options. I watched this, and I love this whole story of the American success stories. And I was able to watch one front row and center. We grew up in Macon, Georgia, and my dad went to Georgia Tech, but he dropped out because my mom was pregnant with me, and he thought he'd go back to school. He took a part-time job on the railroad, and he looked up 17 years later, and he's still on his part-time job. And we all can relate to that because our lives have gone by like that. I mean, it's just crazy. And Sarah was talking about she's a little bit older than 25, and you kind of mean that. I seriously, you're 28. I can tell, right? But all of a sudden it flies by, and my dad looked up, and he's 38 years old, making $20,000 a year in Macon, Georgia, and he's like, I thought I was going to be somebody. Well, you know, he went out and started a company, and most of you know Primerica, you've heard of that company, and he was blessed to have started that with his partner, and the rest has been history over what all built the last several years. But all that genesis came from somebody coming by our house when my dad did not want them there and showing him compound interest. And that scares me every day. Think that had they not come to our house, there'd have been no Primerica, no World Financial Group. We wouldn't have a company. I'd be a railroad conductor in Macon, Georgia. It's just this close. And this is serious stuff. So talking about specifically, Celeste, when you're talking about this whole situation over time, what's happened is the people who have the information have made a financial decision that they're going to go talk to people who already have money. That's who they are. I'll give you an example, Northwestern Mutual and a couple other big insurance companies. They're great companies. We have had people from them come to work with us, and they literally will terminate people who go see clients who make less than $100,000 a year. And so it is the system's rigged that way. If you go into a bank, I had this happen to me. I was at Bank of America. I was making about $50,000 a year, and I went to a bank. They were nice to me, and the teller was nice to me, and we put money there, just a normal account. But then when my business took off and I was able to make $50,000 a month, I went in, and all of a sudden somebody from another desk says, "Hello, Mr. Humphrey." You know, and then we were able to sell the company, and I got a pretty good bit of money. All of a sudden I found out there was a private bank inside my bank. I'm like, "Where have you been?" And then when we took the money out, they disappeared. It was tumbleweeds again. And so that's how the system is. They don't educate us on the front end, and then, and I get it. I mean, if I'm a upper end financial planner, then I'm going to go where the money is. But there is no one servicing.
Nobody coming to see the middle people
On a middle America on a basis. And I'll tell you something else. The average age of someone who has a license to market financial services is almost 60 years old. That means there's not another wave coming behind us. And there's fewer people licensed than there was years before. So we have a huge issue, and you know, there's rooms for millions of us, but we're all about that. So that's why they've been abandoned. It's basically been that they've chosen to go where the money is.
You know, Jody, in 1978, I used to sell life insurance door to door.
Right.
And, you know, and you went in there and you educated people on why they needed to have this policy. And you went by and collected this money sometimes every week or month.
Debit policies.
Exactly. And how we've grown to where we are today. And Sara is a CPA and she has business clients. You know, it's so important. People think, well, I don't have enough money really to talk to a financial advisor, or, you know, their mindset that they need to have a mind shift. I don't care. I teach my clients, I don't care if you have $5 or you have $500,000, you need to talk to a financial advisor and make plans of how you're going to use that money. And I'm a firm believer in insurance and policies of that sort. My husband will tell you, we do not lack insurance.
Right. And you make a great point, because you can only start where you're at. Right. I heard a great quote from a great man who said, "When's the best time to plant a tree?" Well, the answer is 20 years ago. Right. But you can't do anything about that. All you can do is plant it now. And just kind of lift where you're at. You know what I mean? Like you said, Celeste. Now, I'll tell you something else. I'm Paul Revere. I mean, I believe we got to come out with the lanterns and shaking, because people need to be saving. Someone can't really convince me that they can't save $200 to $400 a month. I just don't believe them, because they're going to Starbucks, they're going to the movies. If it's important enough to you, you can save money. Whatever your age is, you got to be able to add a zero and save that a month. That's just a simple financial tool, just a real simple tool.
Remember that.
You know, so if you add a zero to whatever your age is, that is your minimum standard for what you should be saving. Mm-hmm. And you know, and you can argue where to save it, but anywhere is better than nowhere. You know, so that's something that we really teach people to do, and it's got to be something that it's somewhere you got to fix the problem. You know what I mean? You can't just put a Band-Aid on something. Somewhere there's got to be a fundamental change, and this is I believe in this, where you educate people on this, and you know, there are all kinds of products, and we got to educate them. If we don't, no one is. And I'll tell you something else. The worst thing somebody can do, real quick, Celeste, I know you had something you wanted to say. One other thing, the internet is not anybody's friend on this. This is a really big deal, because you literally you can go to YouTube and figure out how to do anything. I play the guitar, I learned any song on there. You literally can get in shape on the internet. You can do, but if that worked, we'd all be in shape and wealthy.
Exactly.
It doesn't work that way. It's total confusion. You don't know whether mutual funds are good or if they're bad. You don't know if annuities are good or bad. Guess what? They're all good for the right person. If you say to me, I want to put my money somewhere where you can look me in the eye and guarantee me it's never going to run out and it's going to give me a lifetime income, there's only one place on earth that does that, and that's an annuity.
That's an annuity.
Okay, but if somebody else says to me, hey, don't put my money somewhere where it's going to be tied up, well, then don't sell them an annuity. You know what I mean? It's all in knowing what they need. And so it's a great point, Celeste.
Well, you know, for I call it HGI, Hedgeman Group there, do you have educational classes? I know that you generate leads, you partner with CPA firms and things of this nature. So what education do you have? And then the second part of that question is the importance, like Sara, as a CPA, where you partner and you bring the two together with your clients, because as a CPA, we've got to have those real talk conversations, Sara, with our clients to make sure that they have what they have. We can't make them do anything. We can lead a horse to water. We can't make it drink. But, my philosophy in insurance is we have a moral obligation to educate and train people of that. And when we serve them, and if they choose not to do that, then at least we know morally we've had that tough conversation.
Right.
No, that's true. And I know we're headed toward the bewitching hour here in a minute, but a couple of thoughts, and I'll be quick. One is this: is that you guys have this organization. Think about this: that you empower people. I mean, I'm empowered watching this, and I know a lot about Araya's organization because I've seen her a lot, especially through Charlene. It's phenomenal. I've been to a lot of. I met you, Celeste, at one of the events. I remember sitting at the table by you. That's where you and I met. Okay. So I know how important that is, but here's the thing. You have all these wonderful women that come out of there, they're empowered and they're ready to go. My question is, now what? How do you take all this empowerment and go put it into a business? There are only certain businesses make more money than other businesses. And I don't care what they do, they would all be smart to add the money business to their portfolio, because it's needed and you make a lot of money from doing it. You take people like Sara and others, and there's a couple of CPAs that we both know, Celeste, that have done real well with us and here locally. And but what happens is you have a CPA has the information on the client for one thing, but also they have the trust. That how many times has someone said, they'll call you up, Sara, and say, you know what, I've got this guy who wants to sell me his insurance policy. What do you think? And you have to tell him you think it's good. He then goes, buys it from somebody else, and that guy makes a $10,000 commission. That should have been you. I mean, I fully believe that, because you're the one who have the influence. And as you said, Celeste, we have the obligation to go teach these people what we do. So that's a great point. And it's a wonderful industry. I think it's the #1 fastest growing industry. It's also the simplest way to go make big money, because if you want to make money, you got to be near money. One last thought on this is that they had this guy, he's a famous bank robber, and he was in Time magazine in 1940. He kept getting arrested, and they asked him, why in the world do you keep robbing banks? He says, that's the stupidest question anybody's ever asked me, because that's where the money is. And that's the answer to what I was telling you. Money business is where the money is.
That's right. Well, and wrapping this up, because this has been great. It's been several gold nuggets in this conversation here today. Jody, tell us about the company, your website, and how they can get a hold of you. I'm going to do the same thing with Charlene and Sara as we close this out.
Well, I first of all appreciate, like we said, everything about what we've done. But the name of our company is HGI, and our website's hgicrusade.com. And also we have everything virtual. I mean, we have put together an incredible virtual platform. And by the way, we will educate till the cows come home. If somebody wants to go through all of our different seminars, that's free. I don't care. You know, they can get on all of them and learn all the secrets. That's all fine. Okay. If someone is part of our company and we don't have a big fee and sell people a bunch of stuff on the front end, that's not what we do. But our back office has got more of a financial education than anything. But my email is Jody, Jodyh at hgicrusade.com. And you can go through Charlene to get to me, and we're all about education. We're also about helping you guys build your brand. Anything I can do to help this, I'm all for it. And from that, I know how this works. It all works for all of us. So we're here, and Celeste knows that. Okay. So thank you guys.
Yes. Charlene, how do we get a hold of you?
You can reach me at hgicrusade.com/Charlene. And my email is charlenehgi@gmail.com. You can reach me either way. And like Jody said, the main thing that we do is we educate Middle America so they know the secrets of how to keep more money, make more money, and save it.
Very good.
And everybody needs to know that. And
Absolutely.
I'm so sorry that I can't see you guys.
Okay. That's all right. Sarah, you name it, your company, how people can reach out to you. You're a CPA. People need to be having conversations with you as well.
Yeah, I'm Sarah Poe with Poe's Accounting Services. My email is spoe@poecpas.com. And what I want to do is get you to close to zero as possible when you owe taxes. You know, we don't want to pay any more than our fair share, but we don't want to pay our neighbor's fair share. I don't want to pay my fair share, but so I'm all about education, and that's why I love HGI, because they truly love to educate.
I couldn't agree with you more, Sarah. And I'm Celeste Giordano with CelesteGiordano.com. I'm a master sales strategist and a business mentor. I help business entrepreneurs, direct sales teams, and corporations exponentially increase sales and profit through lead generation, building relationships, and accountability. We would like to thank both Jody and Charlene tonight with HGI as our guests, our wonderful networking groups with Araya McGarry, Amy Ostanidi, and Carol Dockham. And most importantly, we want to thank Penny Rogers with WCEG Talk Radio for hosting this show tonight. Thank you very much for being here, and have a wonderful and blessed day. Good night.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you guys. Thank all of you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.